Yeah, he's been pretty good with the potty training. He's not many accidents.
I mean, I
So it's
know
been
at
good.
first it's always a nightmare because they're in a new place and they're away from their siblings, and it's a weird situation. But then once they settle into like an actual, oh my God, look at that, routine and consistency is what everybody needs.
Oh,
Who would have thought?
I know.
wow.
Strange that works so well for all species, apparently.
Dogs,
Yeah.
kids, adults.
Children, humans,
Yeah.
adult humans especially, who
We all
apparently once.
We all just need a dominant figure in our life to control us and allow us to have no thought of our own. It's perfect.
Or have dominance on the inside of your own psyche and be able to be intrinsically motivated and driven.
Yeah, just go get that.
Yeah, just go get that.
It's so easy. You make it sound so easy.
Yeah, just go get that.
It's not easy, but it sure is simple.
Simple,
Yeah.
yes. Well, everything is.
But I think as long as, and that's such a great way to start our conversation, because I think the problem that so many people have when it comes to taking an action step is because they perceive it to be more complicated than it is. And then there's this like immediate barrier to even trying. It's like, well, nutrition is hard. Okay, well, what's hard about it? Well, I have to prep food. Okay, well, what's hard about that? Well, I don't know how to make it taste good. Have some condiments on hand. Oh, that's it? Yeah. It's no longer hard anymore. So now the action step is a lot less barrierful and rich. And now you can just go and do the thing that you know you have to do.
I don't know how to do that, though.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Yes,
You do.
I
But you
know.
know where you're starting from. So I think the biggest thing that I think a lot of people are missing is they don't know where they're starting from.
Yes.
They have this vision where they think they want to be. They don't necessarily want to be there, but they think they want to be there. But they don't know where they're starting from.
Yep.
So they're starting from ground zero, thinking that they have to go to 100 overnight, but they can't bridge that gap because they have no idea what they're eating now. They have no routines. They have no idea where they're starting from. So then they try to implement everything, and it just crash and burn every single time. Instead of taking that step back and saying, "Hey, why don't we just go from 0 to 1 instead of from 0 to 100?"
Because I need it done now. I need quick results. Welcome back to the Other Side Lifestyle Podcast with Jim and Rob. Today we have Megan Ashley. You can find her on Instagram at Megan Ashley Fitness. She's going to solve all of your problems today. She just said no silently. We've crashed her confidence, just like yours is, with transforming your body through health and nutrition.
By the way, she's a busy ass mother of two. She runs her own business, and somehow she manages to stay in shape. And I think
Don't be so condescending to the audience, Dick.
I'm going to be so condescending today because I'm coming from a very negative headspace, and I'm going to make sure
I'm going to find out about it.
I use this as a therapy session as well as a podcast interview.
Nice.
So thank you for being part of my transformation as well.
Nice.
But Megan, how are you? What's going
How are
on?
you?
Listen, like I said, this is the first time I've sat down all day, and it is 3:00 in the afternoon.
Where are you at? It's 3:00 for me as well.
I'm in Connecticut.
Not
Not a fun place.
I'm in New
Rob knows all
Jersey.
about it. Rob
Yeah.
does not
I
live
know.
here anymore.
As long as you're somewhere near a good pizza place, that's all that matters.
At least it's not winter in Connecticut.
Truth. Are you
That's my
near a good?
nickname,
Are you
Truth.
good? Are you near a good pizza place or no?
I am near New Haven.
Oh.
However, right?
Is High Lie still a thing?
I'm sure
No.
it is. I'm not involved in
No,
any of it.
It's not. They shut that down. It was a racket that people were betting on too aggressively.
Dude, I was introduced to that in college. Drove up to Connecticut, New Haven.
That's the thing, right?
It's like the slingshot racquetball game.
Yeah.
Basically, you got this giant scoop coming off your arm, and you're throwing the ball, and it's like racquetball, people are catching it, and you're betting on these people. It felt so weird, like I'm betting on horses, but it's just like this individual. It wasn't like you're betting on a team. It's not like you're betting on online, even though that didn't exist back then. I'm just sitting there, like
Did
we're
you
just
go to, like the Sports Haven, like
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
Like it was, yeah. We're watching them.
That's sketch.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, this is
Sports Haven?
25 years ago.
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
it wasn't as sketchy now.
It might have been. I just didn't know.
Back up for a second, Jim. I want to make sure that we brought the right type of guest on because she was about to say something negative about New Haven Pizza, and I'm curious to hear what her.
No, I was gonna say I can't eat gluten, so I.
Oh well.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week on the Other Side Lifestyle Podcast. we try to have a certain standard here of guests, and we do not take
Failed.
weak people who should not be procreating.
Did you now? Are you full celiac or are you just gluten intolerant?
I have a gluten intolerance, and it's just not worth it to me.
Yeah.
Can you smash like 2 or 3 digestive enzymes and hope for the best?
No, it's been
Yeah.
a solid 20 years, and I
Just so it's just easier to abstain. Yeah.
fully committed to gluten free, and thankfully things have gotten a little bit easier and more accessible, and not everything tastes like cardboard anymore. So,
Yeah, I mean, even like the cauliflower crust stuff is actually pretty good. It's getting better and better.
yeah, it's good. It's decent, but it's not the same. I will tell you that it is not the same. Anybody that does it because they prefer it, I question a little bit.
Yeah, it's not.
All right, we're back. So we'll keep her on then.
Yeah, she wants the gluten. She craves the gluten, but she just is. She's putting a boundary around it, which I think is wise.
Correct. Yep. Boundaries are good. Boundaries are good for everyone and everything.
Let's start from the beginning. What got you into this fucking crazy business of ours?
Oh my goodness. Well, so I played field hockey in college, and my coach called me fat and slow.
Oh,
To
that's
motivate
you?
That's productive.
Were you?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Actually.
Wow, somebody's lacking self-awareness. All right,
Yeah.
we're brutal today, me and Aram. We're feeling brutal.
Right, and she did that to motivate me to be better. When
Okay.
I came back, at the time I was on crutches and I had 2 stress fractures in my right shin.
Jesus.
So my ability to do anything to get out of that situation in the moment just wasn't happening. So I took it to the extreme and went a little too far and developed a decade-long eating disorder.
Oh, those are fun.
My coach called me fat and slow.
It's unbelievable to me. I used to coach track for high school, and there was a male coach that would say stuff like that to the females. And I was just blown away.
Jesus.
For years. And I'm like, how does this guy still work here? It's insane to me.
Right? And so it really, really fucked with my head.
Yeah, I'm sure.
A really long time. And it wasn't until, like I said, like a decade later where I finally woke up one day and I was just like, this is not what I'm doing anymore. I made it the shift from I want to be skinny to I want to be strong. And from that day on, it was a lot easier for me to just dive into the things that I actually needed to be doing, like lifting heavier weights and eating more and not doing cardio every day and not working out every single day and driving myself into the ground. And
can you talk about that shift a little bit more specifically? Because I think breezing over it doesn't do it enough justice. Like, I think it's like, what level
what were you doing? Yeah, what were you doing? Were you not eating? Were you?
So I was eating the bare minimum.
Okay.
Because going back to the days I was playing field hockey, in order to play, I had to eat.
Yeah.
Sure.
You have to eat this. You have to eat this at halftime, or you can't play. And I just wanted to play, right? I wanted to play. I wanted to be good. And looking back, it's like, how much better would I have been if I actually built myself properly and didn't do extra cardio after practice, up in the gym corner where nobody could see me, type of thing, right?
You were hiding your cardio.
Yes, I was, and it was just not a good look.
Wow.
So it was a mind fuck shifting from that, because you put your entire self-worth based on how skinny you can be, what clothes you can fit in. You think other people want that for you too, right? And you do everything to hide it. And people also compliment you at the same time.
Yeah, so I was going to say, you look great.
You look great. You're
Yeah.
just so good. When I'm the one eating the salad, right? And at that time I was, working nights as a nurse, busting my butt doing that. And you had, I'm in charge of other people's lives. I couldn't function on the bare minimum, right? But I could also eat and then just go exercise to deal with the stress. And that's what you tell yourself, right? You tell yourself you have to do it and you want to do it. And this is your lifestyle. And you start identifying as this person who is skinny, who is small, who looks fit. And everybody starts validating that. And it's just this spiral. And you all of a sudden have to get inside your head that this is no longer serving me. I can't do this forever. Like, it gets to the point where, like, you're sick all the time. You're exhausted. My gut was a mess. Like,
Yeah, but you were skinny. So
but like,
that's
who
all that
cares?
that's all that matters though.
Yeah,
No,
you were a certain size. I mean, isn't that what it's all about? Just
Yeah.
fitting in an arbitrary societal
not
standard.
perfect for me. For some people, great. But like,
No, no.
my entire life was like a train wreck.
Yeah.
My mind, like, I had gone through a really, oh my gosh, like, we really want to get into it. Like,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I got married when I was 25, and the person that I married was not the one that I divorced. He had cystic fibrosis. He has since passed away after we divorced, but he developed like a drug addiction to deal with the fact that he was getting sicker. And I thought he was getting sicker at the time, and it turns out that he had a massive drug addiction. And it just, like, my entire life turned upside down, right?
Yeah.
Which further contributed to what can I control in my life, which ended up being exercise and food, right? And so we're talking maybe 4 years after that, um, where I finally was like, I can't do this. Like, I just couldn't keep up with myself anymore. And it becomes very isolating and very lonely because you can't show up. Like, I was just a shell of myself. So I finally was like, I'm so done with this. And I didn't know which way to go with this, because you have to fight every single thing that you convinced yourself that you needed to do forever. And so eating more was hard. It was a hard. And I came from the point where I was like, I can't track macros because that will further, like, just contribute to disordered eating and disordered thinking. But in reality, when I finally got over that, I tracked my food for a really long time, but I didn't actually track to hit targets. I just want an idea of where I was, right? So I brought that awareness to, okay, there are no clean foods or good foods or bad foods. These just have calories. So I went from being like, I can't eat peanut butter because it will make me fat, to, okay, this is a great source of fat. I enjoy it. It's delicious. I don't have to eat either just like the tiniest little bit or the entire jar. You can just eat, a normal portion and
Yeah.
be okay with it. So I did that for a few years. I started lifting heavier. I stopped looking through like Cosmo magazine and fitness and health for all like their, I'm aging myself, but like that's where I would get my workouts before, to, finally following people who actually, into like CrossFit and lifted heavy. And I had a strength and conditioning coach in college. Like, so lifting wasn't new to me, but I finally got like over the fact that, like, you're not going to grow big muscles. Like,
Yeah.
you really have to try. And I've been, nonstop working at that ever since. But like, it's hard. So I came into coaching because I didn't want people to go through the same thing that I did, wasting years of their lives just spinning in circles, thinking that this is how you have to do it. If you lift light, you're going to get toned, and you can't eat carbs, and certain foods are going to make you fat, right? And like, you have to unpack a lot of things with each individual, because each individual has their own background and their own history and their own relationship with exercise and with food and with like their social support and what their real goal is. A lot of people come to me and they're like, I want to lose weight. But it turns out, yes, they have weight to lose, right?
Yeah.
But that's not their main focus. They actually want to be stronger. They want to keep up with their kids. They want to have a better relationship with food. And they don't want to feel restricted or feel like they have to eat specific things. They want that flexibility, and they want to be able to live their life on their terms and have fitness help with that and actually add to their life rather than take away from it. And I think that that's where a lot of people get a little bit off. They have these rules that they're trying to follow that they've convinced
Jesus.
themselves.
That scared the crap out of me, Aram.
It's what happens when you have a vicious breed like a pit bull in the house.
I have a 6-pound dog.
So, Megan,
Very
I want you to elaborate
Wonderful.
on that, because I think that's important. So you just talked about having rules, but the rules, it sounds like for some people, are just not making sense. They put the wrong types of rules in place.
Right. It's like these things, whether they grew up in a household where they had to finish their plate. So their rule
Okay.
now is they have to finish their plate.
Yep.
But do you really have to? Or is that just like what you've always done and you've been told, right? Or I can't eat carbs after 8 o'clock because that will make me fat. Like, if all of a sudden, like at 8:01, your mashed potatoes turned into like evil potatoes that are like going to go straight to like your gut, right? And it sounds funny, and like there is some science behind like chrononutrition, and if you really want to dive into that, like sure, but like for the everyday person, like please eat the mashed potatoes. I eat a gigantic bowl of cereal 10 minutes before bed every single night. Like granted, I'm breastfeeding, so like I have a child who wakes up half the time to like eat, and like I can't sleep if I'm hungry. Not the best for my sleep, not the best for my digestion, like going eating and slamming a giant bowl of cereal before bed, but like helps me sleep, so sure.
What
Eat
were
those
some
things
of
all else.
what were some of the rules when you were coming out of your disordered eating time span and you weren't tracking, but you're like, I know I need to eat more? What were some rules that you had?
Oh gosh. Like we'll start with peanut butter. Like that I could not like I was afraid to eat peanut butter or like go out to eat. Even just going out to eat, I thought magically that one meal was all of a sudden going to make me gain like
Well,
10
what?
pounds.
Yeah. What about when you acknowledged I need to be eating more? What were your rules at that point?
Oh, it was
Since you weren't tracking or anything like that, what are some things that you made sure that you did on a regular basis?
I
Because you had this.
relearned, yeah, I relearned how to actually listen to my body,
Okay.
and when it was hungry, eat it. And I realized that if all I ate was like fruit and salad, not fruit salad, but maybe fruit salad, right? Um, like I was going to be hungry 20 minutes later because I didn't actually eat enough food. Um, so you have to learn to say, you know, am I actually hungry? Like, let me feed myself. And I did get to the point where I had to put on extra body fat. Like there
Yeah.
was no going from like being too skinny to being like lean and toned, right? And like I hate using those terms, but like everybody kind of resonates with that. I put on excess body fat on purpose
Yeah.
because everything was just so messed up. Everything from like my menstrual cycle to my gut to my sleep. I was working nights, so like I guess that all contributes to that as well,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Would you mind if I elaborate on that for a second? Because I think it's
for
important
sure.
for people to understand that. Because I think a lot of times people are afraid of that phase of increasing. So if you're truly somebody who was in Megan's state, which very oftentimes people confuse where Megan's coming from to where they're at, which is I don't have any semblance of routine. I don't really have any structure. You know, you're probably not as teeny tiny as she was, and maybe you are carrying visible excess body fat that's problematic to you. In that case, you're more of a function of somebody who just needs to get their shit together and have a routine and have some semblance of organization. But if you're truly coming from the place that Megan is, the reason why you have to put on body fat is because you need raw material, aka food, to build muscle. Without it, you are not going to because you have nothing to draw from. There's nothing inside of your body that's triggering a signal of growth. So if you're truly
Totally.
somebody who's as lean and as tiny as she was, she needed to go through that uncomfortable phase to be able to accumulate some calorie intake to be able to give her the raw material. But if you're somebody who's walking around with visible amounts of body fat, you don't need to go to that degree because you already do have internal energy that's not being used. So I just want to clarify that part.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people. So here's the thing: you go back to the awareness part because if you have extra body fat, it came from somewhere. It didn't
Sure.
just magically appear, and
No.
you are not like the one person in the entire world that eats 1,000 calories and continues to gain weight, right? That does not happen. It
No.
is, you have to bring the awareness to where are those calories coming from. And a lot of times, right, you have excess body fat from a combination of overeating and under exercising.
Yeah.
And you have no awareness to the fact that you probably only walk like 2,000, 3,000 steps a day. And you may only eat one meal, but it's very, very heavy meal. And then you're probably not counting either the alcohol on the weekend. Like you make up for it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I always start all of my people who have never tracked their food before. We aren't hitting macros when we start. We are just learning to track our food. And it's wildly apparent that some education needs to be there around what is a protein and where does that come from,
Mm-hmm.
because you're probably eating, if you are not tracking and you are a female, you're probably eating 60 grams of protein. And not only is that not going to help you build muscle, it is below the recommended amount for malnutrition, right?
Yeah.
And it, like Aram said, you have to have the building blocks of protein and muscle to actually get there, right? So you have to have carbohydrates for energy, right? If you're hitting that 3 p.m. slump, you probably don't need a cup of coffee, right? You need a walk in the sunshine, some water, and probably a snack.
Kind of like what you would tell your kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you need a fucking walk and a snack. Like you don't need more
We're all going
coffee.
outside. It's been a day. We're going outside. I don't care what the weather is. We are going outside.
But I just love the simplicity of that message because I think that's again, it just goes back to that idea of adults just get to a place where they lack structure. Like they leave college, they had structure all their lives. They were being told what to do, what time to wake up, what time to go to class, what time to go to work. And then they graduate and it's just this fucking free for all shit show. And then there's no self-awareness. There's no accountability. There's no personal responsibility. And then they wake up at 45 being like, what the fuck happened? I don't understand. Well,
Right. It's my metabolism. My metabolism is broken. It's
I'm broken.
No, you are not broken. You just don't have any awareness as to what got you there. And if
your systems are broken.
Right. If you have no idea what got you there, it's going to be really hard to then move forward with where you want to go.
Amongst all the other bullshit noise that they're getting fed from Aunt Sally, who's on fucking Ozempic, and then from Bobby at work, who just did a fucking 24-hour fast and lost a bunch of weight. So there's also having to combat that garbage as well. And just being able to educate and say, well, what was the basis of all their diets? Calorie deficit. Good.
And then everything that Megan dealt with from that first triggering comment to the actions that lifestyle that was led to that, to all the issues that you talked about early in the marriage, I think a lot of people are blind to how miserable they are in life and how fucked up they are and all these things that are going on. And it's just, give me a diet because if I can lose weight, it's going to solve all my problems.
Fix everything.
Yeah. So what are the conversations? When people are coming to you, do you get a lot of people who are just like, are they wanting to have those conversations like that you alluded to at the beginning? Like a lot of people, we have to have these conversations and figure this kind of stuff out. Or are they coming to you, I want to lose weight, you look like a good coach. And then you're having these conversations and they're going, what does this have to do with anything? And then you're trying to explain what it does have to, like, what are those experiences like?
So not at first, right? There has to be a comfort level that people are with. And I'm a pretty open and honest person, right? And I have some clients who will just lay it all on me. And I'm like, awesome. Now let's unpack this, right?
There's a warm can of Ghost Limeade, electric limeade. Very good. Probably my new favorite flavor.
How many milligrams of caffeine in that motherfucker?
6.
That's it?
200.
I doubt it.
200.
That's a lot.
It's 200. It's a normal amount. I'm an adult male. I'm hitting a 3 p.m. slump. I'm actually not. I'm actually wide awake. I just like being more.
Was it because you peed on your dog earlier?
I did. I peed a circle around him and then summoned the devil to control.
And that's why we have the caffeine consumption.
I think I'm just an undiagnosed ADHD, and the stimulant helps me.
That could very well be.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
I'm married to one now, so he's diagnosed. But
I'll take the undiagnosed. That way I can always blame it, but then I don't actually have a real solution for it. It's really nice.
We need scapegoats.
Yeah,
we need them. Yeah. Without them, everything is then on us, and that is intolerable. I
pour one thing into a cup. You guys get so goddamn distracted, and I'm the one that you're diagnosing ADHD. Fantastic.
I'm just kidding. Along with you.
You're just showing me.
Okay.
You're just showing me.
It's a great flavor. It's hard to get. Ghost Electric Limeade.
We are not sponsored by Ghost, but if Ghost is listening, we certainly can be.
They only sponsor people with 12 million followers, so
we don't have that. Not even. I don't think all three of us together even break 100.
I have 17. Same amount of calories. I mean, milligrams of caffeine. Anyway, Megan, you were saying something, and I distracted everybody.
And right, so there has to be this level of trust in order for people to feel comfortable telling me everything. Right? I think me being open and honest with myself and not judgmental is helpful for that. Plus the fact that I'm also a nurse. So there's, people feel comfortable just opening up the doors sometimes and just unloading on everything. But having an understanding of why things are the way they are and like where things are coming from, right? So I always have my check-in questions, and they are very strategic, and I've like changed them to where they are now over the years to allow for people to open up if they so feel on anything. And I know some coaches are very much by the book, like you need to follow the protocol, or don't even bother, or come with their full check-in, or don't even bother, right?
Yeah.
I was very hardcore
I've had,
thing.
I've had one of them.
I think we all have.
Right, we've all been there, but like that's not helpful. So what is going to be the most helpful for somebody, right, is if they can be open and honest and say, hey, it was a really stressful week for me, and this is what happened. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Like, how do you feel about that? What would you change if you could go back? What are you going to do next time? Because this is going to happen again, right? You don't live in like this. If everybody lived in this stupid little bubble where they could only like, eat what they want and go to the gym and nobody's going to bother them and there's no stress, right? Like you have
And
to
want to go to the gym and
Want.
want to eat healthy and
Right.
want to prep food.
Right? Like,
The bubble where you want to do those things.
right. But it's like, okay, you don't, is prepping your food going to make it easier? For sure. But
Yeah.
like, how about if every Friday night you're going and you're ordering takeout and you aren't eating your prepped food because you just don't want it, and it's a Friday night and you've had a stressful week? Okay, let's pick 3 restaurants in town that you can get takeout at that are somewhat macro-friendly meals.
What are your
Choose one.
go-tos?
Oh, sushi. I am like, give me all of the
Like
sushi.
sashimi?
Same.
A little bit, but I do enjoy, the
The
rice.
rolls?
and,
Yeah, I'll I whenever I get it, I get like 10 pieces of salmon sashimi. I just slurp
Okay.
it right down. So good.
God, that's gross.
Hendrix calls it solid water. He's like, it's like solid water. It doesn't really have any flavor. That's my
That's
stuff.
like an oyster to me.
Yeah.
I do oysters.
Oysters are solid. I never understood the allure of oysters because they're so expensive, and really all they are is just a vehicle for cocktail sauce and horseradish.
I
They're
like
just
all.
awkward. I can't do
Yeah.
the awkwardness.
I like clams and mussels, but I had the oysters once. I think I was with you, Aram. We were with Jason Phillips, like eating dinner, and he got like something and like a tower of oysters, and
Oh,
I was like, I feel like I'm just drinking salt water. Like this isn't even good. I don't.
yeah,
get
it's
it.
like sucking down a booger.
Yeah.
A really expensive booger, usually from Maine or Connecticut. Now that I'm on the West Coast, it's funny because they're like, "Ooh, these are Maine oysters." I'm like, "Oh, so they were flown all the way from Maine to San Diego when we could just very easily go up to Washington
You
State."
cook
And
good
probably
tacos though.
we do have,
What's
but
that?
yeah, but that's because
You
we
put
have
them in tacos?
no. She's saying we have good tacos. Here.
Oh,
Yeah, it's well.
these are you put them in tacos.
We have
oyster
plenty of people
tacos.
that come from underneath us in Mexico, and they come up and they just make all the tacos.
See,
But-
we can't have local.
But you know what we don't have? We don't have New Haven pizza,
You're right.
which sucks.
Shame.
Go back to calories for a second, because I think there's still an illusion that exists that they aren't real and that we don't need to manage them, and that
Gosh.
and my favorite one is, well, I'm only eating 1,200 calories or 1,100 calories or 1,300 calories, and I'm still not losing weight. When we all know that tracking food is not a perfect science, and there is such thing as human error. So discuss that for a little bit.
So every single diet that works, you are eating less calories, right? Calories in and calories out. End of story. There's no way around that, unfortunately. Right?
Autophagy. You're lying. Intermittent fasting, autophagy.
Yeah.
Your body, it's I can eat 7,000 calories of fat, keto. My body breaks the fat down. It's just science. I'm an asshole. I'm sorry.
Good luck with that.
For the people that listen, they know I'm being sarcastic, but in case you're new or dumb, I am being sarcastic, and Megan is 100% correct. You need to be in a calorie deficit.
Right? And it's not a perfect science. And if people want to blame that, right, they're like, well, calories in, it's not accurate. Calories out isn't accurate. Okay, but it's like your best guess. What else are you going to do? Right?
It always drives me out. Like, what's that? David Ludwig and some of these guys who are the big, like, anti-sugar zealots. Gary Taubes, David Ludwig, Mark Hyman a little bit. These guys, like, they talk about this. It's like, no, calorie deficit. It's impossible to be accurate with it. I'm like, okay, so what? Like, so I'm consistently off by 20%.
Right.
So what? Then I adjust, and then I'll be consistently off by 20% at a lower number to create the calorie deficit.
Right.
Correct. It's mind-boggling, and they'll talk around it like it doesn't actually work that way, right? Unfortunately, but it's as simple as calories in and calories out. But like, if you're enjoying the food that you're eating, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to stick to it long term, right? So that's what it really comes down to: is you can have anything you want, but it's the
Not as
portion
much.
sizes. And if all you're eating is ho-hos and Twinkies and ding dongs, like, you're not going to feel really good.
Yeah.
Your body composition isn't going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Your gut is probably not going to be fantastic either. And you're not going to be able to stick to that long term, right? Because highly palatable foods are just going to cause you to want to eat more, right? And if you are truly only eating like 1,200 calories a day, like, unless you are like 5'0" and like 100 pounds, then you probably need a little bit more.
So what are some go-to make at home meals? The busy person. I don't have time for all this meal prep. I don't really want to learn how to cook good. What are some suggestions that you give those clients?
Real good foods, chicken nuggets or chicken fingers, are the biggest staple. You can find them in Costco. You can find them at Walmart. You can find them in any grocery store. They taste delicious. That is like solid protein there. Throw them in the air fryer. Good to go. Get a steamed bag of rice and like some frozen vegetables.
Yeah. I think it's at Sam's Club, or maybe it's Walmart, but like this chicken teriyaki, Purdue chicken teriyaki frozen individual chicken thighs. And like, that's my backup plan. Like, I always have a bag or two of them. I don't have anything prepped. I can always throw 2 of those chicken breasts in the microwave, 4.5 minutes.
Like, you can get grocery delivery now, and it really does not cost that much more money, right? If like,
no, I think Walmart's like $100 a year, and it's unlimited deliveries.
And I'm telling you, I use that all the time. Everything from diapers.
Why do you hate people so much? Why do you do the delivery?
I'm the same way. I fucking can't. Like, I will not go to Costco anymore.
Listen, I do not have the time, like, to deal with that.
So you found a solution. What do you know? I like it. Is there anything? Are you big on like slow cooker meals, things like that with people?
I'm really. So here's the thing. I'm not a good cook. And
both
of my parents are fantastic cooks. I'm not that great, and I throw things in one pan. Like, it's literally like 7:00 at night before I even think about what is going on. Like, and if I defrosted some meat, fantastic. I'm like ahead of the game here. So I literally just chop up vegetables, throw it in the pan. Okay. Throw the meat in there, throw some spice on there, and either cook rice or potatoes, and that is what we're eating.
What's your favorite spice?
The taco blend or the Mexican blend from I can't remember the name.
McCormick?
Paso?
No, it's not. Neither one of those. I can't.
Jorge Picadra? I just made that up. I don't know. That's not a real spice. Okay, good. See, we're getting some good, real, actual tips and advice here.
No, but I think also too, like, what people really need to understand about what she's saying right here is that you don't have to be a gourmet chef that's making these elaborate meals. And I think that's where people shoot themselves in the foot, is because they overlook the simplicity of being able to put single ingredient proteins into a pan and then putting a vegetable into a pan and then having your steam in a bag rice going in the microwave. Then you throw that shit into a bowl and you put something on top of it that's going to make it taste how you want it to taste, whether it be Greek yogurt-based tzatziki sauce or hot sauce or ketchup and mustard to make a burger bowl. You
find like that seasoning. You find like that one seasoning.
Ranch seasoning.
You know you can put on anything.
Literally anything.
That's it.
Don't overcomplicate it, but I'm not some elaborate like meal prep person.
I like Same.
Yes.
I don't do it because I'm not going to, I know for me, and you don't work from home, right? Because you're a nurse.
Well, so on the day I only go to the hospital 2 days a month.
Okay.
Now, enough to
okay.
I thought you were going to say a week.
So 2 days.
Nursing used to be my full time.
They got the kids.
Literally, when I was pregnant with my first, I took a local travel nursing job that was 40 hours a week, plus my job that I have now. I was working 40 or 52 hours a week with a 2-hour commute while I was like 33 weeks.
2 hours each way? Or
1 hour.
Oh, okay. Still a lot.
don't. I 10 out of 10 don't recommend. Like,
No,
for me,
why
right?
That's odd.
That's
Sounds very sustainable, and like there's not going to be any burnout.
Yeah, but you were able to listen to all our episodes of the podcast with an hour-long commute. You could knock out 2 a day.
Oh, it's just the best, right?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to listen to you for 2 hours?
Everyone.
Yeah, most people. Most people. But I think, but again, the simplicity of it is that, and here's the thing, variety, which people I think overuse this idea that like, well, 2 protein sources isn't going to be enough variety for me, or I have so much variety in my diet, I don't want to lose that variety. When in reality, it's just a big fucking illusion. Like you get the same coffee order every single time you walk into Starbucks. You go to the same restaurant with your husband and order the same fucking meal every time you guys go out to eat. You order the same Chipotle bowl every time you go. You order the same salad every time you go to your favorite place. So it's like you don't have any variety elsewhere. It's just you feel as though the options are being removed away from you, but they're not. You're actually getting more options than you've ever had because now you're the one who's in control of that preparation.
People are scrolling through Instagram and like they're seeing the food bloggers and the massive food preppers, and they think it has to be like this giant like production. I put this disclaimer that like I could never be a food blogger every single time I post a meal because it does not look appetizing and it's not pretty, right?
No.
I like cooked half of it with like one kid on my hip, the other one like hanging off my leg, and like screaming at me.
That's key too. I mean, just what we're talking about here is just that self-awareness of what you actually like doing and what you actually want to do. You're fully self-aware. You don't like cooking. You're not a good cook because your parents were great cooks and refused to teach you because they didn't trust you. And so, but like you're aware of what, and then you found these solutions that fit for your lifestyle. Like some people, they think they have to do all this stuff and then they're trying to be something that they're not. They're like, no, this is what I have to be good at. This is what I have. No, it doesn't have to be.
They're identifying as like this big foodie that like I can't, no person that doesn't like food. Every single person likes food. But if you're starting to identify as this person that like everything has to be this certain way, right? Those invisible rules that like everything has to be perfect and I have to meal prep in order to do it. No, just plan ahead. It makes it a lot easier on yourself. But you also don't have to, right? Yeah. Like sometimes I'm just literally winging it and like it is what it is. Like I will have eggs for dinner. Like throw some cottage cheese in there to give like some extra protein. I'm not above anything.
No,
or Megan chicken nuggets Ashley right here.
Yeah, or you can literally grab a fucking rotisserie chicken and peel the breast off of both sides of it, and you're literally pair that with, like you said, a steam in a bag vegetable and a steam in a bag rice, where the microwave does the work for you, and then throw some shit on top of it that's going to make it taste like whatever.
Dude, yesterday I was like, well, I want a cheesesteak, and I haven't had ground beef in a while. I got a bunch of ground beef in the freezer. Defrost some ground beef, cook it on the Blackstone. Throw some cheese on it. I make a cheesesteak with ground beef and like put it on this little mini roll. Nice. And had my little ghetto white trash backyard cheesesteak. I'm like, it met the craving of having this meat and cheese like on a roll kind of thing. Obviously, it wasn't like it's still the same thing as a cheesesteak, but just these little stupid things where I didn't have to go buy a cheesesteak on a 12-inch sub. Yeah, because I was
eat the whole thing because you bought it and you don't want to waste food.
Well, right? I'm fine with wasting it. I just have that eating disorder of like I just want to keep tasting it. Like if there's more, I'm like there's so many times where I'm like I feel full. I just want to keep tasting it.
Yeah,
so that listening to your body and learning how to like do fullness cues.
Sometimes I'll cut it off. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah, so, Megan, what you have to understand about Jimmy is he doesn't love cocaine. He just likes how it smells. So he just keeps sniffing it. He's like, I can smell it. I can feel the aroma of it. I don't necessarily like the drug. I just love the way it smells.
Yeah. He's like, you could smell it from further away. I'm like, I can't.
No, I have to get
accidentally.
Really, yeah, it just comes into his nose. It bypasses the nose hair, and then we have a problem.
I'm a public school teacher. New superintendent's listening. We'll send a link to this one. But.
So the other topic I did want to cover with you that we were discussing through text message was you had started to allude to the idea that the metabolism breaks because it's a kitchen plate and then women somehow drop it. And it tends to be more of a conversation in women. Men like to use age as the problem. It's like, well, I'm too old to do this or this. Women use
welcome to 40.
Yeah, it's like I can't do the shit I did at 20. Well, no shit, because you're not an athlete. You sit at a desk all day.
Yeah, like I tweaked my back last week, and I was walking somewhere, and they were like, "Oh, getting old." Like, welcome. I'm 45. Like, welcome to whatever they said. And I in my head, I'm like, no, I tweaked my back. I'm actually fantastic feeling most of the time at this age.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's people's life. Like, that's just like people just settle in. They go,
That's the narrative.
This
that's
is
the narrative
life now. Yep.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but then the narrative on the woman's side is usually because of this message that a lot of coaches are perpetuating to then sell them a solution to their metabolism broken problem.
If all you've done is try to diet for the last 10 years and you have, crash dieted and then gained weight and then regained weight again, then your metabolism isn't broken, but it has adapted and it doesn't know what to do because you have not been consistent with it and you have not given it the signals of, hey, we are safe, right? We aren't living in a famine. You don't have to then try to combat your biology, right? You really just have to feed it well, right? And when you feed yourself well, you are going to have the energy to do what you want and you're going to feel a lot better doing it, right? So if you are not eating breakfast, running on caffeine and your cup of coffee until noon, and then you feel like crap and then you're downing your energy drink at 3 p.m.
Wow.
And then
Just
you realize,
attacking me. That's interesting. All right.
and then, but you're not a woman, so you're...
Oh, never mind. I'm allowed.
There's times where he identifies.
Only when we're making out around.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
And I'm okay with that.
Because I want you to be able to continue to identify as straight, so identify as a woman for him. It's something I'm willing to sacrifice. Anyway, the caffeine at 3:00.
Right. And then all of a sudden, they're having dinner and then they're diving into the bag of chips on the couch at night because they've had a stressful day. And it's where's your protein? Where's your meal? Of course you think your metabolism's broken and you can't stick to a diet because you're not properly fueling yourself and you don't have the energy to do anything because you haven't been giving yourself enough food to be able to do that, right? Your metabolism has adapted to where you have been telling it to go forever. And all of a sudden now, if you start actually becoming aware of what you are eating, because I'm not going to say eating more, because it's more along the lines of eating more protein, eating more vegetables, eating more fruit,
Eating
not
better.
more calories, right?
Yes.
So you have that awareness around that, and then you can do what your body's going to respond in a positive manner, right? You're not defying science here. No metabolism is broken, but your body is very smart, right? Yeah. And it's going to do what it needs to do in order to survive because it doesn't care about your goals. It can care less about what you look like, but it wants to survive, right?
Yeah, it's it's not broken. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do based on the way that you're treating it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So discuss the times that, and all of us will probably get some version of this, is the idea that I have a sweet tooth and I have cravings and I can't control them.
You probably have a blood sugar issue.
So elaborate on it, but because we do get that a lot, right? It comes back down to the idea of, do you have a meal structure in place? Is it consistent? Are you actually nourishing yourself throughout the day? Or are you one of those people that goes 6 hours without a meal and then you just gobble down whatever's in front of you? And then there's this disarray that just continues into the night after dinner because you finally settled down for the day and you're actually in touch with how you're feeling for the first time today.
Right. And that's really what it is. And if, there's so much nuance to all of this too. And
yes,
somebody's gonna say, well, I have insulin resistance. I'm awesome. Let's eat some more protein and lift some more weights, right? That's how we're going to get to a place where your body's going to respond in a positive manner, right? But if you have a sweet tooth and you are telling yourself that you have a sweet tooth and you are feeding into that, then you're going to continue to have that sweet tooth, right? And so, yes, there are certain things that you can do, right? You can enjoy that, whatever it is that you are craving in a small amount and allow yourself that because there's nothing wrong with that, right? You can do that and you can they call it urge surfing, right? Or you can put a timer on for 10 minutes and occupy your brain because you're probably needing something else, right? You're probably feeling stressed out. You're probably feeling anxious. You're probably feeling some uncomfortable feeling that you do not want to sit with.
Yes.
Instead of sitting with that, you are just distracting your brain with some feel-good thing, right? Chocolate, because that makes your brain go, woo, we love that. And before you know it, you dove into like half the bag of chocolates, and 10 minutes later you don't feel any better, right? And you actually feel worse because you have completely gone from here to completely overboard instead of just doing that. So a lot of it is unpacking things. Why are we uncomfortable? Like, what are these feelings that we are trying to avoid? And nobody wants to get into that, right? So there's like certain strategies that I tell my clients, right? The 10 minutes and, go for a walk with no music and like think about things, or like do some breathing or some mobility, right? Because not everyone's like breath work. Ooh, can't do that. But if you do some mobility, right, you can kind of unpack it a little bit, or at least distract yourself. And then if in that 10 minutes you still want it, great, have some of it. But like, don't dive deep into it. And if you do, okay, we're going to get into that too. Like, what were you feeling before? How did you feel during? How did you feel after, right? Next time you're feeling these feelings, what are we going to do about it? Let's have a plan in place, because it's going to happen again. But if you continue to tell yourself, well, that's just the way I am and I have a sweet tooth, then you're going to continue to have that, right? You are the only person that can take charge of where you want to be and what you want to do and why you want to change that. So unless you're really willing to get uncomfortable like that, you're going to stay in the same place. Because change is hard, right? Like, nobody is saying that should be an easy process. Simple, but not easy at all, right? Because there's a reason why you are turning to either the alcohol or the chocolate or the ice cream or like whatever it is. And you have to kind of open that door. You don't have to like open it all the way, but just a little bit, and kind of start to get comfortable feeling a little bit of discomfort and unpack it a little bit. And you'd be surprised.
Yeah, and recognizing that like your current comfort is uncomfortable. That's why they reached out to you in the first place.
Yeah.
So, hey, well, let's just maybe trade our discomfort in this arena with this other discomfort.
And a lot of people, they're not clueless, right? They know what they need to do. They just can't seem to do it. And they're like, I know what I need to do. But every coach, for the most part, has had a coach, right? It's not that they don't know what to do. It's just they want that extra guidance, accountability. And it's a heck of a lot easier for somebody to come in and like help you break it down so that you're not doing it all yourself. Because you're carrying, like, a lot of people are carrying a lot of heavy shit, right?
Yeah.
Especially in this, like, the stress of people, like, groceries are 3 times as much. A lot of people are feeling financial stress. Like,
this is the easiest time in our lives to not be eating out.
For sure.
As far as I'm concerned. I mean, you order pizza and wings, it's like delivered $50. Like, what the hell?
But it's like all of their expenses have gone up, just like your grocery everything has gone up for them too.
If anybody is complaining about how expensive groceries are, they better not be fucking going out to eat, because it's out of control expensive. I mean, any mixed drink is $15 at any restaurant or bar.
Yep.
And then people are complaining about how expensive groceries are.
Yep.
They're still cheaper than going out to eat. So if that's your excuse or your reason that groceries are expensive, you should not be going out to eat at all with how much everything is costing there. It's like makes it easy for me not to.
Well, I think that the problem isn't even so much sometimes dining out. While dining out is absolutely a massive factor that can prevent fat loss, because it's very easy to overeat when you're eating out. You have no idea how much oil they're putting into food. You have no idea the portion size.
Plus, you're talking and you're eating, and like, you're not paying attention.
And you have to take the leftovers because it was expensive, which I'll never understand. Yeah. I'm like, that's a conversation I'll try to have with clients. Like, you went out to eat to enjoy an experience out to eat, to be with friends or family, to spend that time with them, to have a meal that you didn't have to prepare, all that stuff. If this was an unhealthy meal that you chose, do not take leftovers home. It's not a waste of money. Children in Africa will still starve. Nothing changes. No. If you got some great healthy meal, sure, bring the rest home. But this idea that it's a waste of money, you spent the money to enjoy time with friends and family.
The experience.
Yeah.
Well, and the other part that I think, because it's not always just a dining out problem, I think the problem sometimes comes down to the shit that you keep around the house that tempts you.
Oh, well, yeah. The chocolate that Megan was talking about earlier. You come home, you got a bag of chocolate there. Yeah.
And if you're in one of those vulnerable states and it's 7:30, 8 o'clock, it's that witching hour before bed where you're anxious, you're still winding down from the day. Maybe the kids are finally starting to settle down.
The kid. No. I wish.
And again, like I say this stuff not because I have children, because I have enough clients that have them. I understand what a typical nightly routine looks like. It probably starts at 7:30 and doesn't end till 9, depending on how much your kids suck at going to bed. Like that's a stressful period of time too. So what happens when that kid finally turns the lights out and you're sitting on the fucking couch and you're just like, I just want to forget about everything that happened today and I want to soothe. It's very hard to tell a busy, overstressed, overworked, underappreciated parent to be like, well, maybe this is your time to now journal. Or maybe it's time to do some breath work. At that point, you're going to fucking reach for whatever's easier in the cupboards. So maybe just don't keep that shit there. Is there a better way to soothe your sweet tooth? Yeah. Get some cut watermelon, put some fucking whipped cream on top of it and call it a day. It's going to be better than the shit you have in your cupboards, I promise you. So there's always going to be that better choice. What are some of the better choices that you offer your clients?
I mean, it really is, again, like, what do you really want? And at that moment, right, that is the moment where it is up to you to really decide, do I want to choose the instant gratification, or do I want to choose like the goal? And
Yes.
you could, there's no better, like, some days, right, you're going to choose the instant gratification and that was the right choice for you. Other days, it's going to be the latter. And you want to be proud of yourself the next morning, right? You don't want to be sitting there doing your check-in or, at the Monday morning going, well, I did it again, right? Well, if you did it again and you're not feeling comfortable with that and like you're ashamed and you're guilty and things like that, then you are not in alignment with where you really want to be. So you have to kind of take that step back and like you have to stop just immediately diving into things, right? You have to pause. You have to take that breath and say, okay, am I going to be proud of this tomorrow? Or is this worth it to me? If it's worth it to you, then yes, do that. If that's what you feel fully aligned with, then go for it, right? Nobody can make that choice but you. But if it's not, then we got to come up with some alternatives because it's going to happen again.
Well, it's that if you're recognizing that repeated pattern in the scenario that Aram just described, then you have to intercept that pattern.
Yep.
Stop trying to come up with an alternate strategy for when those things come up and start intercepting that. Okay, so bedtime routine starts at 7:30. I'm going to make sure I have a full meal. Or I'm going to make a really hearty protein shake that I could be drinking throughout this whole bedtime process. And by the time I finish that, I'm all done. Now the stress kind of sets in, but it's not going to be as stressful because you have actual calories in your system.
Right.
So like people need to sometimes just figure that you have repeated patterns. You need to intercept those patterns.
Yep. Give yourself a little bit of a delay between like having to feed that gratification or that need. And it's like anything else. Like it starts to become a really, really, really big confidence builder. Because that's the other element of the equation that I think a lot of our clients miss out on is that they don't have the level of consistency to also have the level of confidence. So they second guess themselves at every turn, as opposed to just like, we're not expecting perfection. I'm not perfect. Neither one of you two are perfect. We constantly have to flip and switch and make accommodations to life. But it's because we've had the experience and we've had the reps put in. We know that if we don't have protein in the fridge, okay, fuck it. I'll order a poke bowl tonight for dinner. Not a big deal. Like if that's the best I can do tonight, that's not a bad deviation to make. Or if I'm out and about with the kids and I packed their lunches for them, but I didn't pack my own, so I got to stop somewhere. Great. I'll stop at the fucking grocery store and I'll literally just grab one of those like trimmings of
Right?
rotisserie chickens or a tuna
something.
packet, and I can get through, and I don't have to make the shittier choice because you don't have to stop at the gas station and get the Funyuns and the onion rings. You can stop at the gas station and get the fucking Core Power protein pre-made drink, and you can get the banana that's been sitting there for a week and a half, but it's still going to be a better choice. So I think sometimes people just don't have that confidence because they don't have the reps.
Protein shakes saved my life.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Absolutely. And they're absolutely like, do I want you to rely on them as your number one default? Of course not. But they're there for a convenient reason when there's a need for convenience.
Yeah.
It's just that the brain, that's the toughest thing. I mean, there's the psychology behind it. The brain, all it wants is repeated patterns.
Yep.
That's all it does. And every time you give in, it reminds the brain, here's a solution to your problem. And it's just a matter of understanding that and going, all right, I need to start showing my brain that there are other solutions to my problem.
Well, people are so comfortable in their routine and they're like, it's so easy to do. And it's like, okay, if you want to change something and disrupt that, let's replace it with something else, right? Because if you just say, I'm not going to do that, the chances are not high that you're actually going to be able to stop doing that. But if you replace it with something else, then you're going to at least give yourself a higher like chance of making that happen, right? And not try to overhaul it all at once, because that's really, really hard to do, right?
Yeah.
You're making it harder for yourself. Do one thing at a time. Give yourself like, release all that expectation of things have to change now. And like, I want that instant gratification and like everything's going to like, I'm going to show up now. Like, you have to just give yourself some time to do it. If you really want that long lasting change, because otherwise you're just going to default to exactly where you are right now.
Yeah. That's all the brain. And how many days a week should people go to Orange Theory?
So
at least 7.
If you love Orange Theory, like, I'm not going to take that away from you, right? But we're going to work around it, and we're probably going to have to feed you more, because that is just a lot.
Yeah, probably just add some F45 classes and other.
Yeah, at least one to 2 long duration HIIT workouts, while also going to CrossFit classes, while also doing it at 4 a.m, of course.
Start and end every day with a 5K. I mean, these are important for female hormones.
Yeah,
metabolism reset.
We have to get that estrogen down as fast as possible. We have to get that thyroid hormone to just crash immediately, because it's so much better when you're on exogenous hormones like I am, to just operate at a high level. We're being sarcastic for anybody that's trying to drive right immediately to their wellness clinic. We're just being sarcastic. Like, don't just turn off the highway directly to an Ozempic clinic. We did not say that.
Hey, if your blood sugar is a problem, just go get the Ozempic. It'll fix it. You'll be fine.
Yep, it will. And
increase that. Some pancreatitis too.
Yeah, we don't mind a little. We don't mind a little bit of loose stool and some green or red stool. That's fine. It's festive. It's Christmas colors.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if the insides are falling out, as long as the outside is falling off.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a nice.
I think you just created
clip.
I think you just create. That's a post. You have to make that post. But no,
I'm so proud of myself.
This has been exactly the conversation I thought it was going to be, and it's been wonderful. I want you now, having gone through this journey as somebody who's come from the disordered eating past, now being a mom of 2, being a wife, having 2 different careers going on at the same time. What would you, and there's so many busy women that are living the life that you live that feel like they just can't do it. What's your number one piece of advice to them to be able to empower and encourage them to keep going the way that they're going, or at least start to evaluate some of the things that they can do?
Adjust your expectations, because like, you have this in your mind that like it's going to go perfectly, right? Like, I don't get an uninterrupted workout. It just doesn't happen, right? I would love one. But when you have to choose, like, nap time, you're either cleaning the house, you are working, or at least I'm either working, or like I'm working out, I'm going to choose work and then work out with my kids, right? Not everybody can do that, right? I have a home gym. Like, I acknowledge my privilege there, but like, can you go to a gym with, childcare, right? Figure out what you can do and adjust from there, but don't feel that it's going to go perfect, and understand that something is going to be better than nothing all the time. If you can only do like 2 sets of your workout, like, great, that's better than not trying, right? Or if that's not an option, right? If you haven't slept well, like, you're not well fed because like your kid wouldn't stop crying, and like, you can, but like, been there, done that, right? Adjust your expectations and like come up with a plan to just figure out what you can do. Can you go for a walk, right? Do something that you're going to be proud of that aligns with where you want to be, instead of just trying to do it all and feeling like a failure.
Yeah. That's where I think, especially as we get older, the rate of perceived exertion is such a good measure for people to kind of start to learn and understand. Like, you don't have to get all 10 reps in. Like, if you felt you exerted at 6 because you were exhausted from everything that you just described, it's like, cool. Like, it's okay.
Right? If you only have 60% and you give 60%, like, you actually,
that's your 100%. Yeah, exactly.
That's it. You just showed up. And that's the part I think that's so important. Like, and I've had to adjust that expectation too, because I used to have that mentality of like, Well, I have my workout is budgeted to be about 55 or 60 minutes. So if I don't have exactly 55 or 60 minutes, what's the point of even trying?
Right.
As opposed to now, like I'm in the same situation as you. I have stuff in the garage. If I go out there and I get 3 or 4 sets of something done, I would much rather do that because those tiny little deposits on a daily basis make me feel really fucking good.
Well, you're going to show up better too. And I think that's the thing is like, if I'm like super stressed out, right? We all have our limits. So if I'm like this close to like, yelling at a child that like doesn't deserve to be yelled at, but it's just because my patience is like in the toilet, then doing something active is just going to help me just kind of be like, all right, cool. I'm a better person when I work out, right?
I find yelling is very therapeutic at a child.
Doesn't. Wow.
Yeah. Or physical violence, I think is actually
one or the other.
Yeah.
Or like you lock them up, neglect, like any kind of.
Yeah, it's called tethering. Have you ever used that tethering? So basically, you use it with horses and dogs when you teach them how to sit in place. You take the child, you wrap some type of thing around it to keep it secure, and then you put it to a secure spot, and then you punish it if it tries to move off the spot, typically with physical violence or noise. Really effective. And you can do the same thing with adults too, and it works really well.
That's why the state didn't let me have a second kid. They found out
well, I'm still not allowed. I'm not allowed within 500 feet of a school. So that's, we all have our crosses to bear.
That sounds like a different issue that you're dealing with.
I peed in public one time, and it happened to be in a child's playground.
Sure you did.
I wasn't exposing myself. It was 9:00 at night. There was no children there.
Megan, how old's your youngest?
6 months.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the book? I recommend it to everybody. On Becoming Baby Wise.
No.
It's a little late now. It'd be like more work, but it's like sleep training, like Ferberizing your kid. It was a game changer for us. At like 11, 12 weeks we did it, which was later than what the book had recommended. And it was a game changer. It was sleeping through the night. It was instant.
He sleeps. He just, these
nice.
Teeth coming in, just everything.
Get some dog chew toys. They'll be fine.
A bully stick for your fucking 6-month-old.
Yeah, just give him this. Give him that right there.
Yeah, just a little bully. Just gnaw on that, kiddo. You're going to be fine. Put a little whiskey on it. That way they fall asleep faster.
Yeah.
My kids are really good. So I'm blessed with good kids. They
You're
have
lucky.
their moments, but they're good kids.
Well, you're not lucky. You're a good parent. That's what it is. I hate using the word lucky. It's because of the reps that you put in as a parent. It's because of the care that you put in, the attention that you put in. It's everything can be attributed back down to nurture.
Even that privilege state, when you say like recognizing your privilege with a garage gym, it's like you created that. You worked.
Yeah.
That's what you chose to do with your money.
Right.
Like even those types of things.
Nothing is by accident. Nothing is by accident.
It must be nice. You have a garage gym. Yeah.
Yeah, because I fucking built it and I paid for it. I took the money that you spend on fucking hair and makeup and Botox injections, and I put a squat rack in my garage to make sure I can get my shit done.
Yeah, I bite my nails so I can have this. I'm not out getting pedicures like a Aram.
I get 1 pedicure a month just for Instagram to make sure that my toes still look good because I have an audience to appease to, Jimmy. You don't understand the level of pressure I'm under.
He's building his foot-based only feet. Yeah. I am, though, Aram, I think I told you I got a pedicure for my mother for Christmas. I'm going to go and get my first pedicure and get her first pedicure. She's 74.
For Christmas, you said?
I got her a gift certificate, so I'm going to go get a pedicure with her. It'll be our first pedicure.
Wait, you gave her a pedicure gift certificate 6 months ago, and you still haven't gone yet?
Yeah, dude, I'm building up the fucking suspense.
Jesus Christ.
She was out of the country for 2 months. Smoking meth with midgets in South America.
Priorities.
Yeah, she was out of the country for a while, so we just never got it done. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do it this summer. So I'm looking forward to having toes like yours.
Are you gonna paint them, or are you just gonna get the trim and the polish?
I don't know. You
gotta paint it. You gotta do some.
I got something to think about.
Aram, were you just like, I'm gonna get my nails painted?
Yeah,
like, you're just like,
it's a form of self-expression, and I thought it was fun just because I do show my feet every single day on Instagram. So
you do. That is
what are you expressing? It was a form of self-expression. So what are you expressing about yourself? You couldn't just say I felt like coloring them.
I like certain colors. It just keeps things interesting. And I live in California. I wear flip-flops every fucking day. Like so I want to be able to have cute feet. I don't think I'm
jacked enough to get colored toenails.
You're
You know?
probably not.
Yeah,
You'd
like
be
you look
laughing.
like a criminal, so you can get away
Correct.
with it.
Yeah.
If I get it,
Nobody-
they're like, "What's up with this dude?"
Yeah, what's up with the old perv with fucking toenail polish?
I don't even think his kid is on the swim team. Why is he here this weekend?
Yeah, why is he sitting there cutting his nails
Yeah.
while looking at
I have to wear a
all these
shirt.
children?
Yeah, I have to wear a shirt that says, "I swear my kid's on the team." The restraining order has lapsed.
Oh, you're fine then. Yeah,
Yeah,
I still
you
have
know what I
still
mean?
have like another 5 years before I can.
Are
be
you
allowed
serious
to-
with that restraining order? Whatever.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. What was a believable story? You took a
People are gonna
leak.
be Googling this. You're gonna have
No,
like,
that was from. Do you guys remember? You guys have seen Horrible Bosses, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember Charlie Day's character, the guy who was like the dental hygienist who
Yeah.
was getting raped by Jennifer Aniston? Well,
Yeah.
she holds that over his head for the entire movie because he peed in public once and it was at a kid's school,
Okay.
but it was after hours. She was like, "There was no kids in the park. I promised there was no kids in the park. It was after dark." But he got registered as a sex offender, so that's why I used that
Okay.
story. So it's not my story; it's Charlie Day's story.
Nice. I was just double checking.
So I think it's time for Megan to be exposed to the final question.
Megan, for the last 5 minutes as we talked, was like, "Why am I here right now?"
No, this has been wonderful.
Megan, I really did enjoy this time with you today. You have a contagious smile. You are obviously an incredibly genuine, real person living real life, and we love that. So thank you
Yes.
for coming
Thank
on.
you. Thank you.
guys.
I go listen to an episode. I rarely say anything like that, but I know you haven't listened to an episode before, so you probably don't know what the final question is, do you?
No, I'm actually,
Yeah.
I actually
Fucking-
do listen to your podcast, you guys.
Fucking typical. Hasn't
I
listened
do,
to the
but
end.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I
what
can't
it is.
remember. All right. Well, anyway, this is just a question that we ask everybody so that we can compare and judge you to every other
That's
guest.
fantastic.
All right. Bye-bye.